Hello, steady Taurus. As July 5 and 6 unfold, you may begin to notice that something beneath the surface of your life has been quietly changing for longer than you realized. Like roots that have spent months strengthening beneath rich soil before anyone could see them, your inner growth may finally be ready to support visible progress. This moment isn't remarkable because it promises instant change. It feels meaningful because what has been developing in silence is beginning to reveal itself. Think about everything you've carried through the first half of this year. The patience, the responsibilities, the disappointments you rarely spoke about, and the quiet determination that kept you moving one careful step at a time. What if none of that was wasted? What if those experiences were gradually shaping a stronger foundation, preparing you for a season where life begins responding differently? Not because you become someone else, but because you've grown into a deeper trust in yourself. If you've had the feeling lately that your pace is changing, don't dismiss it too quickly. Perhaps you've noticed yourself craving a calmer routine, wanting to refresh your home, spend more time outdoors, or simply slow down enough to hear your own thoughts again. These gentle impulses can sometimes reflect an inner realignment, the kind that arise without dramatic announcements. Growth doesn't always appear with fireworks. Often it begins with the quiet certainty that something finally feels rooted. For Taurus, that sense of stability carries special meaning. Lasting abundance is rarely built through constant urgency, but through consistency, patience, and knowing what truly deserves your energy. Around July 5 and 6, you may find yourself standing at the edge of a new chapter, not because every answer has appeared, but because you become more willing to trust the natural rhythm of your own path. Instead of chasing every opportunity, you may discover that the right ones begin moving towards you with surprising ease. The blessings taking shape now may reach beyond practical success, although they could certainly touch your work, finances, or daily life. More importantly, they may restore something within you that has been asking for attention: a steadier confidence, a quieter heart, or the comforting realization that you no longer need to prove your worth through constant effort. Sometimes the greatest shift is simply recognizing that peace creates room for growth in ways striving never could. There is an old wisdom in the reminder to delight in what is good and remain rooted in faith, trusting that sincere desires mature in their proper season. Whether you understand that through spirituality, quiet reflection, or your own life experience, the invitation remains the same. Stay open to what is unfolding instead of forcing what isn't ready. Like the first warm light spreading across a summer field, some changes become visible only after they've already begun. If these words resonate with something you've been feeling, take a moment to acknowledge it. Leave a comment and anchor your intention in your own words. You might simply write, "I welcome the steady growth unfolding on July 5th and 6th. Or perhaps, "I choose peace, lasting abundance, and the confidence to trust my path." Sometimes speaking an intention aloud isn't about changing the future overnight. It's about recognizing the person you're already becoming. If you'd like to help this community continue growing, I'd love to invite you to support the channel through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Our goal for July is simply to reach $100 to help cover the monthly costs of keeping these videos coming. Whether your support is through a donation, a kind comment, or simply spending your time here, it truly makes a difference. Thank you for helping create a space where thoughtful astrology, reflection, and encouragement can continue to reach those who need it. There are seasons when waiting can make you wonder whether your efforts had mattered at all. Yet, looking back, you may realize that every quiet lesson, every slow adjustment, and every moment that asked for patience was strengthening something essential within you. What once felt like delay may reveal itself as careful preparation, and now, as this new season gently opens, you may be ready to recognize that the life you've been cultivating has been growing beside you all along. For Taurus, this season carries a meaning that feels deeply personal. A sense of stability isn't simply something you hope to achieve. It is the place where your spirit naturally settles when life is in harmony with your values. If the past months have felt uncertain or stretched beyond your comfort, you may have forgotten what that steady feeling is like. Yet as July 5th and 6th unfold, there is a quiet sense that the ground beneath you is becoming firm again. not because you forced life into place, but because you've allowed yourself to grow into it. Some things you believed had slipped away may not have been lost after all. They may simply have needed time to mature, just as fruit doesn't ripen because we hurry it. What begins returning now could look different from what you expected, shaped by the person you've become, rather than the person you were when you first hoped for it. Sometimes life answers with something more fitting than what we originally asked for, and only in hindsight does that become clear. There are moments when pushing harder no longer opens the next chapter. Instead, the path becomes visible when you stop measuring every step and begin trusting what has quietly taken root within you. If you recently felt drawn to simplify your surroundings, spend more time in nature, refresh your home, or slow your pace without fully understanding why, don't dismiss those impulses. Your mind may call it rest, but your deeper self may simply be preparing space for what is ready to grow. It's easy to mistake ease for inactivity, especially if you've spent a long time believing that progress must always feel difficult. Yet sometimes the greatest sign that you're moving in the right direction is the absence of constant struggle. When your shoulders relax, when your breathing deepens, when decisions begin to feel clearer instead of heavier, those quiet changes deserve your attention. Peace is not empty space. It can be the clearest signal that your life is settling into a healthier rhythm. Whether you think of it as faith, timing, or simply the wisdom that comes from experience, life often has a way of returning value in unexpected forms. The kindness you've offered, the patience you've practiced, and the quiet persistence that carried you through uncertain seasons rarely disappear. They have a way of resurfacing when the conditions are finally right, often more naturally than you imagined. What some people call luck may simply be the moment when steady effort and the right season finally meet. If your heart feels calmer than it has in a long time, allow yourself to trust that feeling. If your thoughts seem less hurried and your spirit less burdened, you don't need to rush back into old habits just because they feel familiar. This may be one of those rare seasons where your greatest strength comes from remaining open rather than constantly proving yourself. Like a river that reaches the sea without forcing its current, your path can unfold through steady movement instead of endless struggle. Around July 5 and 6, you may notice opportunities approaching with surprising ease. Conversations happen naturally, invitations appear at the right moment, or possibilities that once felt distant begin moving within reach. Rather than seeing these moments as extraordinary luck, consider that they may reflect the changes you've already made within yourself. As your relationship with your own worth becomes steadier, life often begins responding in kind. Instead of imagining one dramatic breakthrough, think of this period as several meaningful developments arriving together, each supporting a different part of your life. One may strengthen your sense of purpose, another may restore emotional balance, while another quietly improves your confidence in the future. Like a healthy garden where different plants bloom in their own time, each form of growth contributes to the richness of the whole. In your work or long-term goals, this isn't about chasing recognition or proving your value through exhaustion. The right role, project, partnership, or opportunity may simply feel aligned with who you are becoming. You recognize it not because it demands that you become someone else, but because it allows you to bring your natural strengths without constant tension. That quiet feeling of "this fits" can be more reliable than excitement alone. Your emotional well-being deserves equal attention. You may feel inspired to clear a room, light a soft green candle, place fresh herbs by a window, or spend a peaceful morning outdoors. These small acts are not escapes from responsibility. They can become gentle reminders that your inner world deserves the same care as your outer ambitions. Sometimes, healing begins in moments so ordinary that we almost overlook them. As your nervous system settles, you may notice that clarity arrives more easily. Answers come while walking, tending a garden, making tea, or sitting in comfortable silence. The body often recognizes safety before the mind fully understands it, and there is wisdom in listening to those quiet signals. Growth is not always loud enough to announce itself, yet it can transform everything over time. Material improvements may also begin appearing, though perhaps not in the dramatic ways people often expect. A practical opportunity, an overdue payment, a valuable connection, or a decision that strengthens your long-term security could arrive just when it is needed. These moments are meaningful not because they happen overnight, but because they reflect a patient foundation you've been building for months. The greatest change, however, may be the way you receive these blessings. Instead of grasping from fear that they might disappear, you may find yourself welcoming them with calm confidence. There is a different kind of abundance that grows from trust rather than urgency, and once you experience that rhythm, it begins shaping every part of your life. We often live in a world that praises constant busyness, yet lasting strength rarely grows from endless pressure alone. What if your calm presence has become one of your greatest assets? What if creating space to breathe, reflect, and move with intention is exactly what allows the right opportunities to recognize you? Sometimes, the richest form of success is not only what arrives, but the peace with which you are finally able to receive it. If this week begins bringing small but meaningful surprises, give yourself permission to receive them without immediately questioning whether they've arrived too easily. An unexpected email, a thoughtful invitation, a practical opportunity, or a financial development that strengthens your sense of security may appear in ways that feel almost ordinary at first. Rather than rushing to explain everything, pause for a moment and notice how different it feels to welcome something, without assuming you have to earn it all over again. Sometimes the healthiest response to a gift is simply quiet gratitude. When you stop measuring every blessing against the effort it took to reach you, you begin to recognize that life has seasons of receiving just as surely as it has seasons of planting and tending. This may be one of those moments when allowing yourself to accept what arrives is every bit as important as the work that prepared you for it. Not every meaningful change announces itself with dramatic moments or unmistakable signs. Some arrive like the first warm morning after days of steady rain, so gently that you only recognize their importance when you look back. Growth often waits for the moment your heart has enough room to receive it, instead of resisting it. Perhaps what has been finding its way toward you was never truly absent. It was simply waiting until you trusted yourself enough to recognize its place in your life. Like a garden that seems unchanged until one morning new blossoms quietly appear, the most meaningful transformations often happen beneath the surface, long before they become visible. By the time you notice them, they have already been growing for quite some time. As July 5 and 6 unfold, you may also become more aware of the people entering your world or quietly returning to it. For Taurus, meaningful relationships often grow through consistency, shared values, and the feeling that life becomes steadier in someone's presence. The connection that matters most during this season may not arrive with instant intensity. Instead, it may feel surprisingly familiar, as though conversation flows naturally and silence feels just as comfortable as words. There is a quiet confidence in relationships that don't demand constant effort to prove themselves. Sometimes the strongest connections are the ones that allow you to relax into your authentic self from the very beginning. Someone from your past could cross your path again, yet the significance may have less to do with how much they have changed and more with how much you have. The version of yourself standing here today is no longer searching for someone to complete what was missing. Instead, you're far more capable of recognizing relationships that encourage growth without asking you to abandon yourself. What once felt like dependence can now become genuine partnership built on mutual respect. You may even notice that conversations unfold differently because your perspective has changed. Where you once looked for reassurance, you now bring clarity. Where you once questioned your worth, you now recognize it without needing someone else to confirm it. Of course, this meaningful connection doesn't have to be romantic. It could be a mentor who sees potential you've overlooked, a collaborator whose values align with yours, or a friendship that develops with remarkable ease. Sometimes the right people appear when your life has become stable enough to welcome them without fear. They don't arrive to lead you or follow you. They simply walk beside you, making the journey feel lighter through shared purpose and trust. Their presence reminds you that true support rarely asks you to become someone different. Instead, it encourages you to become more fully yourself. From an astrological perspective, periods influenced by Venus often invite us to appreciate what is authentic, enduring, and deeply nourishing rather than merely exciting. While no single planetary movement guarantees a particular experience, there are times when themes of connection, appreciation, and emotional openness naturally become more noticeable. If you find yourself feeling an unexpected sense of familiarity with someone or a quiet desire to reconnect after a long silence, consider that feeling with curiosity instead of rushing to explain it away. Symbolically, this is a season that favors relationships built on patience rather than urgency, where trust develops through shared experiences instead of dramatic declarations. Your intuition doesn't always speak through certainty. More often it appears as a gentle feeling of ease, a calm recognition that someone understands you without requiring you to perform or pretend. Those moments deserve your attention because they reflect something you've cultivated within yourself. As you become more comfortable honoring your own values, you've also become better at recognizing people who honor them too. The more grounded you become in your own life, the easier it is to distinguish genuine connection from temporary excitement. That quiet discernment is one of the gifts your recent growth has been preparing you to receive. It's important to remember that no one is arriving to rescue you from your past. That chapter has already been teaching you something much more valuable: how to become a place of safety for yourself. The relationships that flourish now are likely to reflect that inner stability rather than replace it. Healthy love, meaningful friendship, and genuine collaboration become strongest when they add to a life that is already rooted instead of trying to fill a space defined by fear. There is a profound difference between needing someone because you feel incomplete and welcoming someone because your life has become spacious enough to share. That distinction changes the foundation of every relationship that follows. If you've quietly wondered whether you'll have to walk the next part of your journey alone, allow yourself to remain open to another possibility. The real invitation isn't simply to meet someone new. It's to allow yourself to be known without hiding your true nature, softening your strengths, or becoming smaller to fit someone else's expectations. The more comfortably you stand in your own life, the more naturally the right people are able to recognize you. Authenticity has a quiet magnetism of its own. It creates space for relationships that are built on honesty instead of performance, and that kind of connection has the strength to endure. So if a familiar name returns to your thoughts, if a meaningful conversation lingers in your mind, or if an unexpected encounter stirs something deeper than simple curiosity, don't rush to define it. Let it unfold at its own pace. Like a seed that reveals its purpose only through patient growth, some connections become meaningful gradually, rewarding those who give them space to develop naturally. There is no need to force certainty before it's time. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is remain present, observe with an open heart, and allow understanding to emerge naturally as the relationship continues to grow. There is one symbol that beautifully reflects the atmosphere surrounding July 5 and 6, the number 6. Rather than representing sudden achievement, it quietly speaks of harmony, care, responsibility, and the ability to build something lasting. In symbolic traditions, 6 reminds us that genuine abundance grows through balance, thoughtful stewardship, and the willingness to nurture what truly matters. It reflects the simple truth that what you patiently cultivate today often becomes the foundation that supports you for years to come. Like healthy roots hidden beneath fertile soil, the strongest blessings are often the ones strengthened over time, quietly supporting every new season of growth that follows. As July 5th and 6th arrive, consider this moment less as a dramatic turning point and more as a quiet invitation to pause and realign. The first half of the year has already taught you something about yourself, even if those lessons unfolded slowly. Now you have an opportunity to notice what has taken root, what deserves your continued care, and what no longer belongs in the life you're building. Growth rarely asks you to become someone entirely new. More often, it asks you to become more honest about who you already are. One symbol that beautifully reflects this season is the number 6. Across many symbolic traditions, 6 is associated with care, stability, responsibility, and the steady cultivation of what truly matters. It reminds us that abundance isn't measured only by what we receive, but also by our ability to nurture, protect, and wisely use what has already been placed in our hands. For Taurus especially, this gentle symbolism speaks to building a life that feels secure, meaningful, and capable of supporting future growth. If you sense that you're ready for a new chapter, perhaps the next step isn't to work harder, but to become more intentional. Instead of asking how much more you need to accomplish, ask what beliefs, habits, or fears have quietly outlived their purpose. Sometimes the greatest progress begins not by adding something new, but by creating room for it. Let this be a season of thoughtful cultivation rather than constant accumulation. A simple ritual can become a meaningful way to reflect on that process. Take a sheet of paper and write down anything you feel ready to leave behind. It may be an old disappointment that still shapes your choices, a belief that your value depends on endless productivity, or worries about security that no longer reflect who you are becoming. The purpose isn't to criticize your past, it's to recognize how much you've already grown beyond it. Afterward, if it feels meaningful to you and it can be done safely, you might choose to tear the paper into small pieces or carefully burn it as a quiet symbol of release. The action itself isn't what creates change. Instead, it gives your mind and heart a tangible way to acknowledge that you're making space for something healthier. Sometimes simple rituals help us express decisions that words alone struggle to capture. Rather than thinking of this as leaving your past behind, imagine yourself enriching the soil for what comes next. Every experience, whether joyful or difficult, has contributed something to your understanding of yourself. Even painful seasons can become part of the foundation that supports healthier choices in the future. Nothing meaningful is wasted when it's transformed into wisdom. The colors surrounding you can also become gentle reminders of your intention. Soft moss green, sage, or touches of warm gold naturally echo themes of renewal, patience, and enduring value. Whether it's a candle, a favorite blanket, fresh herbs on a table, or simply the colors you choose to wear, these small details can quietly reinforce the atmosphere you're creating within yourself. Their purpose isn't to change your future, but to help you remain present as it unfolds. You don't need elaborate ceremonies or perfect conditions to reconnect with yourself. A few peaceful moments, a deep breath, and genuine honesty are often enough. Try placing your hand over your heart and speaking your intention aloud, allowing the words to settle before rushing to the next task. Sometimes hearing your own voice express what truly matters can become a powerful reminder of the direction you're choosing. You might say, "I choose peace, steady growth, and lasting abundance. I welcome opportunities that honor who I am becoming." These words aren't meant to guarantee a particular outcome. Instead, they serve as a quiet promise you make to yourself, a commitment to respond to life with greater trust, patience, and clarity. Real transformation rarely arrives because we demand it. More often, it grows through the small decisions we repeat with care each day. By showing up with intention instead of urgency, by remaining open instead of fearful, and by believing that meaningful progress unfolds in its own season, you begin creating the conditions where lasting change can naturally take root. Whatever your personal beliefs may be, there is something deeply valuable about creating space to listen inward. Whether you describe that experience as spiritual, psychological, or simply a moment of honest self-awareness, it reminds you that your inner world deserves as much attention as everything happening around you. And when those two parts of your life begin moving together, even the quietest changes can become the ones that shape your future most profoundly. When you move through life with greater clarity, even in the smallest daily choices, you often discover that your surroundings begin responding in unexpected ways. Around July 5 and 6, the quiet symbolism of the number 6 offers a gentle reminder to care for what truly matters, to strengthen what already supports you, and to build a future that can last. The question isn't whether this season holds potential. The real question is whether you're ready to recognize the opportunities that have been slowly growing within your reach. There comes a stage in every journey of personal growth when the focus naturally changes. Instead of asking, "When will my life finally change?" you begin asking, "Am I prepared to welcome the changes already unfolding?" If you pause for a moment, you may notice the answer isn't arriving through endless analysis. It may be present in the quiet steadiness of your breathing, in the calm that has gradually replaced constant urgency, or in the growing confidence that no longer depends on outside approval. For Taurus, this shift can feel especially meaningful. Your strength has never been about moving the fastest. It has always come from your ability to remain steady while building something that truly matters. As you look back over the first half of the year, you may realize that you already crossed an invisible threshold. You're no longer waiting for someone else to tell you that you're ready. Little by little, you've become the person capable of making that decision for yourself. It's easy to believe that success must be earned through exhaustion, or that peace only comes after every problem has been solved. Yet many of those ideas were learned rather than lived. They were expectations that encouraged constant striving instead of quiet confidence. What you're beginning to release now isn't your ambition. It's the belief that your worth depends on endlessly proving yourself. From a symbolic astrological perspective, there are seasons when external events seem to echo changes that have already taken place within us. Whether you view that through astrology, psychology, or simple life experience, the message remains remarkably similar. Lasting transformation begins when your inner world becomes more consistent than the noise surrounding you. That's the kind of maturity that doesn't demand attention because it no longer depends on it. Real confidence often grows so gradually that it's almost invisible while it's happening. You stop explaining every decision. You become more comfortable setting healthy boundaries. You learn to say yes to what nourishes you and no to what quietly drains your energy without carrying unnecessary guilt. These choices may seem small from the outside, but together they reshape the direction of your life in meaningful ways. Over the years, one pattern becomes clear again and again. The people who experience the deepest, most sustainable change are rarely the ones chasing dramatic breakthroughs. More often, they're the ones who continue showing up with patience, honesty, and quiet consistency. They trust that every thoughtful decision becomes another ring in the trunk of a growing tree, strengthening what others may never fully see. Perhaps the greatest transformation isn't the opportunity that appears in front of you. Perhaps it's the realization that you no longer abandon your own needs just to keep moving forward. If you spent too long living in survival mode, always waiting for the next solution or the next moment of relief, this season offers a different possibility. The kindness you've practiced, the boundaries you protected, and the values you refused to compromise have all become seeds planted in fertile ground. Now you're beginning to experience the life those seeds were preparing you for. So instead of asking, "Am I allowed to want more?" consider asking, "Am I willing to receive what I've been patiently preparing for?" The person you've become wasn't shaped by accident. Every challenge, every thoughtful decision, and every season that asked for perseverance has quietly strengthened your roots. Sometimes the greatest acknowledgement you can receive is the one you finally offer yourself. Imagine standing at the edge of a garden you've been tending for months. The first signs of growth may seem modest, yet they reveal that the work beneath the surface has been successful all along. That's what personal growth often looks like. It doesn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. It gradually becomes impossible to ignore. If these reflections resonate with you, allow yourself a quiet moment before moving on with your day. You don't need every answer before taking the next step. Sometimes all that's required is the willingness to recognize that clarity has already begun to emerge. What once looked like delay may simply have been careful preparation for a season that finally matches the person you become. As July 5 and 6 unfold, consider reflecting on one simple question: what part of my life is ready to be nurtured instead of forced? Perhaps the answer has been gently waiting for your attention all along. If these words speak to your heart, leave a comment and anchor your intention. You might write, "I welcome steady growth and lasting abundance." Or simply, "I trust the path I'm building, one grounded step at a time." Sometimes giving voice to an intention is less about changing tomorrow and more about honoring who you're choosing to become today. Thank you for sharing this moment of reflection. Your presence, your thoughtful comments, and your willingness to grow alongside this community help create a space where meaningful conversations continue to flourish. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Every act of support helps us continue creating astrology content that encourages insight, self-awareness, and genuine personal growth. As you move into the days ahead, don't rush past what you discovered here. Let these reflections stay with you like the warmth of an early summer morning settling across a quiet field. Growth has its own rhythm, and perhaps this season isn't asking you to become someone different. Perhaps it's simply inviting you to trust the strong, steady person you've already become, and to keep walking forward from there.